Hello, my name is Abigail and welcome to Polyglot Progress. Today is May 31st, 2019, and for the fourth or maybe third year in a row, I think it's fourth though, I am going to be telling you my summer goals and checking in kind of every few months or so to let you know how they're going. Please note that I say every few months because I am going to be traveling so much this summer. I'm going to be gone for basically the whole month of June, and then I'm also going to be traveling in July and August as well, so it's going to be a little bit interesting when I end up posting these updates because most of the content you'll see on Polyglot Progress this summer will be pre-filmed, but it's a little bit hard to pre-film goals updates because that is a little bit based in real time. This year is also going to be a little bit different from previous years just because I typically have this issue where I end up having a wide range of very specific goals that kind of end up getting shortened down to a more concise list as the summer goes on and I start to figure out what my goals are. But this summer we're kind of starting the opposite. I have a kind of more of a vague, small list of goals that are kind of probably going to get expanded as the summer goes on. I have felt pretty kind of undirected and just kind of weird and burnt out about my language learning recently. I think pretty much all of it comes down to the fact that I've been really burnt out when it comes to school and academia in general, so then when it comes time for me to learn a language, I've been taking significantly lazier approaches to doing things on my phone, just kind of not really studying the way that I'd really like to, and I just haven't really found as much enjoyment with it and haven't really had as many kind of goals and things that I've been working towards, and I think that's also then had an effect on the way that I'm studying as well. So my number one goal for this summer is just to kind of find my love for language learning again and rekindle that feeling of fun and joy and excitement when I'm learning languages, and also just kind of get to use my languages in a way that makes me excited about it and makes me want to learn more languages and reminds me of what my goals should be for languages, because I don't want to force myself to do this and I'm not forcing myself to do this. So my goals should not be forced or just thought of. They should be things that I genuinely want. And I think things like using French while I'm in Africa for the summer will really help me kind of figure out what my goals are with language learning in general. So this summer I really want to focus on using my languages. I've gotten better at that this past semester. Previously I would really only study languages and then I'd kind of stop working through whatever textbook I was doing or whatever, and then I'd kind of fall back in my level. I'd lose a lot of the level I'd had in a language, and recently I've been doing better with that. I now do read a lot more things in other languages, watch things in other languages, etc. But in general, I just don't read and watch enough stuff in any language, including my own native language, so that's something that I definitely want to work on this summer as well. And I also really want to speak more in languages. I feel like I don't really get a chance to use languages in the sense of actually talking to people. If anything, it is reading and watching things, but it's never actually going somewhere and talking to someone, etc. So I'm really excited to use languages a lot this summer. I know I'll be using French a lot, but I'm hoping to find ways to use my German, Italian, Spanish, Bulgarian, etc. as well. And one way that I want to work on that is I want to challenge myself to make videos in each of these languages. And so one way I'm planning to do that is kind of steal a little bit from the Add One challenge. When I did the Add One challenge, the goal by the end was to have a 15-minute conversation, which I managed to do in Bulgarian. So this summer I have made myself little goals of just kind of filming videos where I'm just going to sit down and just talk for hopefully 10 to 15 minutes in German, 10 minutes in Spanish, 10 minutes in Italian, and 5 to 10 minutes in Bulgarian, and then I will edit it down to whatever I actually feel like is a decent video. I'm hoping that I can really push myself to do these chunks of time in the languages, and I think it'll be a good thing to work up to and a good way to push myself. And then the other thing that I want to work up to is establishing a habit of spending 30 minutes to 45 minutes to an hour every single day doing really deep kind of study with my language learning. As many people know, I've had this kind of goal that has been to study a language every single day, but as I said, I've recently gotten kind of lazy and a lot of things have just been on my phone and I haven't really been spending that much time doing it, etc. And I did set a goal for myself this year to spend at least 10 to 15 minutes every day, and I think some days I get that, other days it definitely is more like 5 minutes of language learning, which honestly just really isn't that effective long term, and so I definitely want to work past that. And this summer I think will be a good time, especially because when I go back to school in the fall, I'm only taking one class and then have check-ins with my advisor and classmates to work on my senior film project. So I'm not really doing that much academic stuff, so the academia burnout, I think, will be something that I don't have to worry about as much, and I'll just have more time to myself, and it will be a much better way to establish habits, I think, that will continue then after I graduate college this next year. So that's something I want to work on. I think it's going to start with getting myself back into more deep study as opposed to just doing flashcards on my phone. That's not to say I'm not going to do flashcards. I do even have some goals related to those because I do find that a very helpful way for me personally to expand my vocabulary. I definitely want to also be working in a textbook, also get grammar practice, also get these other things that I need. And I also just want to be spending more time kind of actively learning and doing things with that. So my main focuses this summer are going to be German and Bulgarian. I will also sort of have a focus be French because that's just going to kind of end up taking up a lot of my summer. And also Scottish Gaelic might kind of move up on this list a little bit. But for now, and I think in general, the real top two that I really want to make the most progress with this summer are definitely German and Bulgarian. So for German, my overall thing is that I really just want to feel less rusty and I want to continue making progress towards my goal of reaching kind of a C1 or just in general advanced level in German. Last year, I also had the goal of bringing it to a C1 advanced level, and I ended up really not doing that much in German, and I ended up losing a bit of my level, and that's why I'm so rusty. It's really been quite a hot minute since I've spoken German, and I just feel like I'm not at the level that I should be at. Even if I haven't really been putting intense study into it, I think I really previously could have done a better job with maintaining my level. And again, this is something I've been working on, and I think now I understand how me personally, how I need to maintain a language after I stop actively kind of intensively studying it. But when I stopped for German, I don't think I really knew how to do that for myself. So I think I did lose a bit of my level, and so I'd like to get that back and continue working towards that upper level that I'm hoping for. I really feel like I'm able to use French the way I use English, and I'd really love to start to see other languages that I've learned get to that level, and I feel like the one that's closest to that is German, and so I'm hoping to have that one be the next one that I really feel like I can just live my life using that language. That would be really great. So the first thing is that I want to work through my German tutor book. A lot of people have asked me what I think of that book, and I haven't really had an answer because I haven't really done that much in it. But in general, I am hoping to go cover to cover with it. I know a lot of people use it just as kind of a check-in resource, but I think going to cover with it will help me to not only give you guys a review, but also to help me stop feeling rusty, because if I go back and make myself do the seemingly silly, very beginner things like what is gender, how do you do any of the cases, how do you make a plural, etc., I'm going to really just have things re-ingrained in my brain, and I'm going to stop feeling rusty because it is beginner material and it's just going to bring things back to the front of my brain. But while I'm doing that, I might end up learning a little bit more about things that I didn't previously know, or learning new things that I never really got to. Like there are tons of grammatical tenses that I don't necessarily know in German that I could learn along the way. So I think that's going to be a really good thing. I don't know if I want to finish the German tutor book. I think that would be great, but I feel like I've just got other things I'm going to end up focusing on with German, so we'll kind of see what happens there. I also want to get to 500 played sentences or words, whichever you want to call them, on Closemaster. I've been doing the French to German course on Closemaster, which has been fun. It's been a nice way to ladder my languages. And I've got 47 words or sentences or whatever played so far, because previously I was doing the English to German course and then I switched over, so I want to get that up to 500, which is quite a bit, but it's definitely been pushing me to think quite a bit in German, and I feel like it's really brought a lot back that I didn't know that I remembered, so I want to keep doing that. It's also a fun thing for me. I like Closemaster a lot, so I'm gonna have that. I know I want to move away from some of this stuff on my phone, but at the same time I'm going to be spending so much time on planes this summer, so much time on trains this summer, and having something on my phone is not necessarily the worst thing, especially when I am just trying to have fun with this. Also on my phone, there's a course that I've talked about every single year, and that is what used to be Memorize, and I guess now we'll move over to Dex when that comes out on the phone. It's a course of the top 80% or 87%, something like that, of the German language. So there are 5,000 words total in this course, and I've done 1,209 as of when I checked last night. And so I'd like to get that to 2,000. I would really love to get it to higher than 2,000, but anyone who's used a Memrise knows it's probably kind of a little bit of a tedious process. Definitely I at least find it a bit of a tedious process, but 2,000 for now. If I can get to higher, that's great, but I want to at least get it to 2,000 because, again, that will refresh any words that I already know but maybe have forgotten, and I'll also learn new words, so this will both be helping me with my getting it to not feel rusty and helping me get it to a higher level, so I'm really excited about that goal. And then the final thing is that I want to start watching some roller derby bouts in German. Recently there was a tournament in France, and all of the announcing was done in French, so I ended up watching this tournament and I really enjoyed just watching derby in French, and it was really fun to see that I understood everything, even though there was a lot of words that I'd never necessarily heard before because you're not really hearing roller derby vocabulary most of the time. So I want to start watching it in German, especially because, as many of you may know, I've had a little bit of trouble connecting with German and why I want to learn. So I think watching roller derby, which is another goal that I had this summer for myself personally, just to watch more to help myself as a player, it'll be fun and great for me to watch it in German as well. So I'm hoping to do that. Bulgarian, I would like to finish colloquial Bulgarian. I've been saying this for a while and I just finally need to do it. And then I want to get started on intensive Bulgarian. I'm not sure how many chapters I want to work through yet. That'll again be something that I think I come up with later in the summer. I set myself a more concrete goal, but for now, just want to continue working through colloquial. Probably should take some more Italki lessons as well, and just in general I'm going to work on speaking to myself, speaking to other people, just kind of getting my Bulgarian up to the speed I'll need it at to have a conversation with myself for 5 to 10 minutes. I guess French is a good one to go to next. Because that one kind of is something that I'm going to end up doing a lot of, even though it's not necessarily one of my focuses. I'm going to be in Africa, in a French-speaking country, so I'm going to be using my French all the time. So my main goal is to get more just kind of confident with sort of grammar things that I don't necessarily use often. There's a lot of stuff in French that I feel totally comfortable using in writing, but never really use when I speak. Even though there are times where I could use it when I speak, but I'm just a little bit, I guess, less confident in those really advanced grammar things. So I'd like to kind of push myself to use some of those, even if I sound a little bit weird, just to kind of get used to them a little bit. So that's just my goal for myself there, and then just want to use it every day as I'm going to have to, and just really enjoy the fact that I'll be immersed in the language for so long. And I'm bound to learn a lot of new things, so I'm kind of leaving that open and we'll just see what I learn, and I'll definitely report back to you once I get back. Speaking of my time while I'm there, I did say I wanted to learn a bit of Fon, which is the local language, and honestly I was not able to get to it. I am going to bring my phrase book with me, so I guess I'll study a little bit on the plane and we'll see what happens there. But I assume I'm just going to end up speaking a lot of French because I just did not get to going through this phrase book that I had. Next is Scottish Gaelic. As I said, this might kind of become a little bit of a focus for me, just because I've been having so much fun with it, honestly. I've just been dabbling in it, but even when I'm not really doing anything to dabble in it, I've just been enjoying singing along to songs in the car, listening to things in Gaelic, etc. So I'm hoping to do just something with it, even if it's just continuing what I've been doing, which is pulling up song lyrics with the Scottish and the English and kind of doing it like a puzzle and translating it between the two. I think that would be really fun. Maybe I'll actually sit down and study it. Maybe I'll just leave it as a fun thing, because I feel like that has been something that's really connected me with the excitement I get about learning a new language again. So I think I would, at least by the end of the summer, like to be able to say a few things, but that's definitely going to be one that I put a little bit less pressure on, because I really want to put pressure on myself to do some things with Bulgarian this summer, finally, but we'll see what happens there. And then Spanish and Italian, I honestly don't really have that many goals. I just want to kind of maintain them, keep using them, and maybe watch some roller derby in those languages. I want to read some books. I want to listen to some things. I think I might get some audiobooks in all of the languages. I've never really tried an audiobook in another language, so I think this summer I might give that a go. I've been doing quite a bit of driving recently to and from roller derby practice from my house, so I think having some audiobooks in other languages would be a really interesting thing to try out. I have a little bit of trouble finding them, so if anyone has good audiobook places for audiobooks not in English, let me know. Sorry if the angle and lighting on all of that just changed. My camera died, and so I had to charge the battery and come back. But then the last thing that is really the only set thing for Spanish and Italian is I'd like to finish the Italian Duolingo course. I finished the Spanish Duolingo course a little while ago, and really all I'm doing is testing out of skills because the Mango course got me beyond where the Duolingo course takes you. But it's just been a slower process for Italian than with Spanish because I don't know, it wouldn't let me test out of a lot of the skills, so I've had to go through skill by skill and do the test out for that individual spot on the tree instead of like a bulk 10 lessons. So I'm slowly working my way through that, and I'd like to just get that done this summer. And I think probably also I want to try the Duolingo stories. I think I heard that those are going away too. Is that a rumor that's totally not true? Am I making that up? But I've done the Duolingo stories once or twice before, and I thought they were actually really good. So I'd like to try that, and I'd also just like to be reading in Italian and Spanish. Going on to my next thing, I made myself a reading list for the summer, just kind of in general. I'd like to read a lot more books. I'm finally actually on track to reach my reading goal this year. I've set for the last 2 to 4 years, I don't know, it's been a while, to read 50 books in 1 year, and I've never reached it. Last year, I think I literally read 15 books or something really sad like that. So I've been really trying this year, and I've read 18 out of 50 so far, so I'm 2 books behind schedule at the moment. But again, with a plane ride, with a lot of driving, like 5 hours round trip to go to roller derby practice, so audiobooks, I think I'll have a lot of time to read a lot this summer. And some of them are in English, and some of them are in other languages. So I will let you know the books that I'm hoping to read in other languages. I'd like to read Percy Jackson in German. I don't remember off the top of my head what that's called in German because it does have a different name, so I will put that here. And then I would like to, in Italian, finish reading Mathilda. I think I'm like only 1 chapter into that book, so when I say finish reading, I basically want to read the whole book. In French, I'm not totally sure what I want to read yet. I do have a book that's like 3 different Shakespeare plays. I don't totally remember which ones are in it. I think it's As You Like It, Much Ado About Nothing, and something else. But I possibly want to read one of those. I feel like I definitely want to read a lot more Shakespeare stuff this summer because Matt took a class on it this past semester, and I've been enjoying hearing her talk about certain things. So I want to read a little bit more of that. So possibly reading it in French would be a lot of fun. I also have other books on my shelf in French, and I'm sure I could find other ebooks in French that I would like to read, and again, hopefully finding an audiobook. And beyond that, I'm not totally sure. I don't know what I'm going to read in Spanish yet, but I would like to read something in Spanish, I think. And for German, hopefully I will be able to get through Percy Jackson, even though it is a thick book. The English edition, if you've seen it, not super thick, it's a kid's book, but the German edition is literally, think about this thick. It is large, so I want to read that, but I think that's gonna take me a little longer. It also seems to be just a little bit, at least last time I tried to read it, a little bit beyond my level. Maybe I'll be able to get through it this time, but I think it's just a little bit, it's a lot, definitely. Previously, my reading in German had been sort of things with pictures or much easier stuff, so I think it's a lot for me to go into. But as I want to get to an advanced level, I think going to middle grade things is definitely the next step. So I want to do that. And then, as I said, I'm going to watch roller derby in German, Spanish, Italian, probably more French, if I can find those things, basically. But other than that, I would love other recommendations if people have movies or TV shows, books, audiobooks, podcasts, etc. Been enjoying in any of those languages, I'd love to hear it. I've never really been able to get into reading the news in certain languages. Maybe I should try to get into that this summer, but again, I'm just trying to have fun with these things, and I'm also trying to create this summer. My main thing is just creating something that's sustainable so it'll last into this year and then hopefully last into beyond my graduation, etc., and just set up much better sustainable language habits for myself. So I think if I don't really enjoy something, it's gonna go, just because I want things that I'll actually do and that will actually help my language learning. And probably reading the news, if I don't enjoy it, is not going to be something that stays then. So that is my goals as of now. I know I did say at the beginning of the year that if I had time this summer I was going to add on Japanese because it's been something that I've wanted to do for so long. But as I said, I haven't really done what I would like to be doing with languages this past semester. I've really just felt burnt out. I felt very lazy when it comes to it. I've felt just kind of a significant lack of motivation to do anything, which has led to a lack of clear goals and a lack of study, really. So I want to focus on getting myself back on track there for the languages I'm already doing, and then really kind of newer projects will definitely be getting my Bulgarian to a better level, and I think the next thing that would be added would definitely be Gaelic instead of Japanese. So that's gonna still stay on the back burner for now and be something that I wait a little bit longer for, but I honestly am totally okay with it. I did kind of reevaluate as I was making these goals and just really found that my heart was more so going towards Gaelic at the moment than Japanese. So if I add something to my kind of project list, it'll definitely be that instead of Japanese for now. I did post on Instagram last night asking for other people's language goals because I was having a little bit of trouble coming up with some of these, so I wanted to kind of pick through and steal them. But as I said, these are still kind of subject to change. I'm still kind of figuring out what I want to do this summer. And because I'm just kind of really letting myself have fun with languages again, I think I'm really going to be discovering what I want to do a lot of the summer as the summer continues. So if you guys want to share your goals down below if you haven't already, or you want to make a video on this, I would love to hear what you're up to, just so that way I can continue to kind of get ideas and get excited about language learning. I'm already just making this video feeling much more excited about all of these projects again. I think definitely just taking a step back from school for a little bit is helpful, and I think especially as soon as I get to Africa, I think I'm really going to be ready to start learning things again. Granted, it's going to be a little bit harder for me to do some intense study while I'm there, so it might still be stuff on my phone, but I'm definitely going to make sure that I'm working on maybe my German exclusively while I'm there, so that way I'm really progressing in things other than just my French while I'm there, and can leave feeling good about multiple aspects of that. But I think traveling and just seeing what it's like to use a language again, having that break from school, just kind of talking about language and coming back to polyglot progress, since I've also taken a step back from this. The past few months while we took our hiatus also probably did not help with me having motivation about languages, because definitely the more I talk about them, the more I'm excited about them, etc. So I'm excited, I hope you guys are too, and I will be back in probably like 2 months, a month and a half maybe, to update you on how all of these are going. So I will see you then, but also in whatever video comes next week. Remember, practice makes progress. Bye guys.